Good evening, dear faculty members and students. We warmly welcome you all to the session which you have been most waiting for. Now, it's time to talk with the world's top ranked scientist. So we are extremely grateful to all the participants for accepting our invitation and being here with us today. SLTC Research University is the only corporate powered research-based fully residential university in the country, and we are glad to have your presence at the MSc orientation today. SLTC Research University maintains a large number of global research and academic partnerships with universities from all over the world. Most importantly, SLTC Research University has a wide range of experiences working with various sectors of international collaborations. It is both an honor and a privilege to have this discussion with you today. Now, let me introduce you to our world's top-ranked scientist, Professor Dush Jayakody, and had an extremely enthusiastic personality about launching the MSc program from the very beginning. He is the person behind success of the School of Postgraduate Studies and Research at SLTC Research University. Professor Dush Jayakody, IEEE Senior Member, Fellow IET, received the PhD degree in Electronics and Communication Engineering from the University College Dublin, Ireland. He received his MSc degree in Electronics and Communication Engineering from the Department of Electrical and Electronics Engineering, Eastern Mediterranean University, Turkey. From 2014 to 2016, he was the Postdoc Research Fellow at the University of Tartu in Estonia and the University of Bergen in Norway. Since 2016, he has been professor at School of Computer Science and Robotics, National Research Tomsk Polytechnic University in Russia. Professor Dush Jayakody also served as a head of research and educational center on automation and information technologies and founder of the Tomsk Infocomm lab at TPU in Russia. In addition, from 2019, he also served as the head of School of Postgraduate Studies Research at SLTC Research University, and he is also the founding director of the Centre for Telecommunication Research at SLTC Research University. He supervised students and many masters and undergraduate students. He also working as a professor at the University of Lisbon in Portugal. He held visiting and sabbatical position at the Centre for Telecommunication Research, University of Sydney in Australia in 2015 and at Texas A&M University in 2018. Professor Jayakody received the Best Paper Award from the IEEE International Conference on Communication, Management and Information Technology, ICC-MIT, in 2017 and International Conference on Emerging Technologies of Information and Communication in Bhutan in March 2019. In July 2019, Professor Jayakody received the Educational Leadership Award from the World Economic Congress 2019. In 2017 and 2018, he received the Outstanding Faculty Award from the National Research Tomsk Polytechnic University in Russia. He also received the Distinguished Research in Wireless Communication in Chennai, India in 2019. Professor Dush Jayakody has published over 180 international peer-reviewed journals, conference papers, and books. His research interests including physical layer and network layer perspective of 5G communication technologies such as non-orthogonal multiple access for 5G, cooperative wireless communication, device-to-device communication, low-density parity codes, unmanned aerial vehicles, and so on. In his career so far, he has attracted nearly $6 million in research funding. Professor Jayakody is a senior member of IEEE, and he has organized and co-organized more than 20 workshops and special sessions of various IEEE conferences. And he also served as a chair, session chair, technical program committee member for various international conferences such as IEEE PIMRC 2013 to 2019, IEEE WCNC 2014 to 2018, and IEEE VTC 2015 to 2018. He currently serves as an area editor at the Elsevier Physical Communication Journal, MDPI Information Journal, MDPI Census, and Relay Internet of Technology Letters. Also, he serves on the advisory board of MDPI Multidisciplinary Journal. In addition, he serves as the reviewer for various IEEE transaction and other journals. Now, his most recent achievement is being list of one of the top 2% of scientists in the world, according to the recent release list by Stanford University, USA, in 2020. Professor Dush Jayakody, Director of Postgraduate Studies, Research and Impact at SLTC Research University, we warmly welcome you to this session. Sir, how are you doing, Professor?
Thank you, Dinesh. Thank you very much for the nice introduction. Am I audible?
Yes, sir, we can hear you, sir.
Okay, good. Yeah. How are you doing?
Great, sir. And it's really a pleasure to having this conversation with you, sir.
Yes, and also good afternoon to all and good evening to all the participants. And thank you very much for organizing this and inviting me over. So I must also thank Ms. Chamari and Ms. Anushka and Mrs. Udakar from School of Postgraduate Studies and Research for their all the support in organizing this event.
Hello, sir. I'm sure that our listener like to know how you become world's top ranked scientist. Please tell us about your life stories, Professor.
Okay, thanks, Dinesh. I don't know where to start. So, I feel still I have started my career. And since, some of my life achievement may serve as motivational elements for the audience, I will share some of them here. So since, I have this event today, I talked to a friend whom I knew for years and years. And I try to, kind of gather what I should say that would be useful for the, audience. So the life journey has been, not a, process of bed. It has been very difficult and challenging, as many of us probably face this. And to achieve career goals is not very easy. I believe the motivation, hard work, and dedication is very important to keep and not to be not to be shattered away from your main goals. So I think from the day one when I started my career, I was trying to be focused and also be dedicated for what I do, and also try to serve the world the best I can. And I think you need to be passionate about what you like generally in the life, and that will lead you to the success of whatever you do. And there is no competition. May I am doing in telecom engineering, and may some of you are in the marketing, management, or the history. So it doesn't need to be on the same domain, and we don't have competition, but we have cooperation. So the interdisciplinary cooperation is there. So whatever you do in your respective field, so you need to be, very hardworking and very motivated, and it should be your passion, and it shouldn't be driven by someone else's agenda. So it should be your own, your own wishes in your heart that you want to be, X and Y, say it in one of the days to come. So, I have actually, if you look at my CV, I have sort of a geographical diversity. And I was in a different countries, as a student and as a researcher and as a professor. So each country I, spent my time. One thing I tried my level best to integrate with that particular society. And I was open-minded, and I believe on making connection with the people, and talking to them, and also be part of that particular society. In particular, I also try to contribute back to the society. So I did my PhD from University College Dublin, and when I was there, I set up charity organizations. I was not only 24/7 research student that time. And in addition, I try to be part of the society. I just give a quick snapshot on my education. So after the my basic education in at Isipatana College, so I was selected for a local university, but I wanted to do electronics engineering, so I applied for a University Grant Commission scholarship. So I went to Mehran University in Pakistan. So where it was, like after 2 weeks, I returned back home. Like I told my parents, I don't know to be there. I will just go to the university that the UGC given me, and I will study computer science. Yeah. And but then I again, gathered myself. I thought, okay, let's go and like my sister said, you just go and see, what they're gonna offer you, and if not, you can come back. So then because I was, very, very young age that time. So I again went back after 2 weeks spending in Colombo, like my home from Kalani. And then I studied there. And because I kind of, developed the motivation. And then I studied 4 years and I became the best foreign student in Pakistan. I received the presidential award in the year 2004 and 2008. And then the next day, I received a scholarship to study in full scholarship study in Turkey, and also in University of Kent in the UK. But UK one was a half scholarship. So I'm coming from the middle class family, so I don't think my parents can afford the UK, living cost. And I never had the experience of doing part-time jobs, but I do encourage all of you, whoever you want to go abroad, or even within the SLTC when you study, or wherever university, it is good to do those. I think that experience I don't have. I have to be honest here. I mean, when I have the grad students from Europe, especially, and they usually tell me that when they were undergraduate or their masters, they were delivery boys. They were. I was talking to a student yesterday, and she said she was a bartender, and she learned the skill because it's a very dramatic place, a bar in every country, and you get to know every sort of people, and you develop a skill that you kind of avoid the troubles, and then you kind of manage difficult people. And also people are not conscious, you see, in a bar, right? So you get to know, you get that talent. So I think it's very, very important to get all sort of experience, and they all counts. It's not only you have to have a very prestigious or a very standard job as a maybe technical officer or engineer or doctor somewhere, but if you have these I mean in the West people call it odd jobs, or these kind of jobs that gives you an experience that helps you in your own life, right? So I don't have that sort of experience of working with the let's put it this way, a real jobs outside the academia, and which I regret. But I mean, but I was working for a Oxford charity organization, but there I got opportunity to work as in the tilt charity shops. So I enjoyed talking to people. But just coming back to the topic, so I went to after my education, I went to Turkey, Eastern Mediterranean University. So because they gave me full-time scholarship, that's the only way I could, go to my next level of education. And so I one thing I did not know, I mean, careful about in my career is the location that I am traveling. What I look at is the opportunity. So I try to maximize the opportunity because I had only one motivation, which was my career. And but I don't blame people who has immigration motivations or the other like motivation or financial motivations. But everyone is different, and everyone got unique talent. So I went there, and then I was a master's, and then I was that is the first time I was introduced to the research. This entire jargon of research I was introduced. So I didn't know anything what these professors talk about and what are the scientific articles and how you start a research project. So I got a little office there. So The professor used to, guide us, give me some papers to read. And one thing I did is I spent in the office every day up to midnight. Like I still remember the days. So we have lectures in the day, and I was a teaching assistant. I have also lectures to do, like together with my supervisor. And then I also need time for my own research. So I usually spend until midnight. But I don't. But what I'm saying is, you don't have to stay until midnight to be a researcher. Okay. But I'm just sharing my experience. But you adopt according to your own ways. And I mean, it kind of, I never got a sense to me what is research, honestly speaking. But I kind of did what my professor asked, and I was working on the OFDM system, developing for the 4G wireless that time. It's actually the OFDM-A. We use this COS207 channel model, and I didn't know any of these, so I had to read and then get all these skills. And so finally I defended my MSc thesis. So I was the first one to defend within a 1 year academic period. So I got the Vice Chancellor's Award for the outstanding postgraduate student in the year 2008. And then after defending, the next day I went to University College Dublin. And so I had actually a lot of choices, because that's actually the first time I publish a conference paper in IEEE. I didn't know what that means actually. And I still remember my father asked me, like, okay, you discovered something, and are they going to pay you? And I said, no, I have to pay for publication. Yeah, so it was a bit funny, because I think because the entire jargon, never got a sense, because we never had a module or the training that tells you, what is the what's that research mean, like, because that time probably the internet and then the information was quite limited. So I had some options to go to University of Ottawa in Canada and University of Leeds and then University College Dublin. But I was very fascinated by the idea of channel codes, and then there's a very good researcher was at University College Dublin. So again, I think my this sense work for the area or the research and my passion, not the country. So I went to Ireland and I did my PhD there. And as Dinet mentioned, I was at the different universities, Texas A&M and University in Bergen, and also in Sydney. And then I was a professor at Tomsk Polytechnic University, where that is the first time I started training people, as independent researcher. That is again a very big challenge. So because being independent, so you don't have supervisor, and you need to manage all the students and setting up groups and applying for grants. And these all actually we generally work in the Saturdays also, and we are very famous in the Tomsk Polytechnic University at that time that that's the only team that comes to work on the Saturday, because generally nobody works on the Saturday, and also we go on the public holidays. But again, you don't have to do all of that. It just I am sharing what I did. So that is the time I started, supervising the PhD students. So my first PhD student is Dr. Tarindu, who is your scientific supervisor. And then to date, I have about 7 PhD students defended, and many postdoctoral researchers I have trained. And after that time, actually, my sabbatical was due, and I never worked in Sri Lanka, so I wanted to return and give back something for my people, especially the taxpayers who finance my education in their school. So I select SLTC Research University, but because at that time that was the only university that uh, promote research and innovation activities. So I joined and I kind of work with the colleagues, and our CEO, engineer Ranjit Singh, is very open-minded and a visionary leader. He has actually allowed me to do all my crazy projects at SLTC, which I couldn't do anywhere else. So some of them got success, some of them experience, and we managed to set up Centre for Telecommunication Research Center, where I think it's currently the leading telecommunication research center in the country. And we offer training at all the phases, undergraduate, master's, and the PhD. So I think I kind of summarize everything.
Yes, sir, it's really interesting to listen to your life story. Thank you, sir. So I let you know ask next question. So actually, we know that the School of Postgraduate Studies and Research at SLTC Research University is offering MSc award from Liverpool John Moores University. So how will the MSc in wireless communications and MSc in embedded system support aspiring our students who want to become top-ranked scientists?
Yeah, I think this is a unique program, especially it is housed at the Center for Telecommunication Research. So most of the lecturers of these two programs are the scientists, like in-house scientists. So SLTC has teaching pedagogical practice of research-led education. So that's why I thought it's good to house the master's program in our research center. So then direct research results will become a teaching content. So you'll be able to learn what is happening at the moment in the R&D sector. For example, in the wireless communication module has a 5G wireless communication, which myself and one of my postdoc fellow teachers, and we do teach there the cutting edge technologies, and we do partnered with various laboratories in the world, and we offer internship opportunities, and also some of the equipments that we don't have at CTR, we give access to through these partnerships to our students to access and travel to various other universities. So due to the research corporations, because I think SLTC is always interested in to develop new partnerships, so we have foreign lecturers who are teaching in these two programs. Actually, they are teaching as a sort of respect for our ongoing collaborations. And they're actually particularly interested in our students, in their dissertations. It's an avenue for them to, get good students from other countries. And it's also an opportunity for our students to, get a foreign exposure. That is really, really important, even if we are not moving ahead in a research career. But it's good to have, people and talk to people, because people would like to, explore things and get new knowledge. So I think these two programs are very, very unique, and especially in Sri Lankan context. And I think many of the students that I talk to, they usually give me very good feedback, because we are that two programs are very technically oriented, and we actually encourage students to publish in our scientific conferences. And then SLTC has our own international research conference, so we do promote students to publish in that avenue as the first gateway for this entire research jargon.
So I think our students were encouraged by your words. So as my next question, so what is the most recent research that you are working on, sir, nowadays?
Good question. So currently we have a grant from European Commission to study network slicing with the drones. And so just to put it in the general context, so what we are trying to do is we're trying to because I think a friend of mine said drone mania, right? So like everywhere now you see there is a drone communication. So so we are also working on the drone assisted wireless communication, in which we're trying to build resource allocation algorithms. We are using network slicing. We also use edge of information, because I think we think that the freshness of the data is important, and not only the latency, especially if you are looking at the weather sensors, or the currency, and they get changed very quickly. So the latency in a wireless communication not only gives, it will not give you the most freshest data, Therefore, we sort of develop algorithm that computes the age of that particular information. And some of the information may not be important, even though they are being transmitted. So our techniques, enable for the users to see most updated information on your screen. Just let's put it that way. In addition, with the researchers in SLTC, environment engineering, and also Lisbon, we are kind of trying to study the development of the wildfire detection and prevention algorithms. That's again with the drones, and we kind of use the techniques of the environment engineering, and that can actually be also readily applied for Sri Lankan disaster, scenarios as well. So those are the kind of the areas, and also we study underwater wireless communication. So we work with Sri Lanka Navy to develop the channel model. Especially, we study the river meets ocean scenario in Crow Island in Sri Lanka. So we get data from the Navy and we model them so that they can use it for their, their naval practices. So they are the kind of little things that we do.
Yes, it's really interesting. So let me ask some question related to your research interest actually. So as a new generation wireless communication researcher, what do you think about the direction of 5G and 6G in telecommunication?
Well, I think the 5G rollout started in 2019 in the technological advanced countries like China, South Korea, and United States. But the full experience of 5G is not yet experienced by many of us, and only 1/7 citizen, world population, using 5G technology. And there are two things that I need to mention. One is the scientific classification of the 5G, and also in commercial or the industry, what is available. And we call it IMT 2020, and the companies like Ericsson, Huawei, they give this standard like 5G. But the scientists expected things to work, even the latency to be 1 millisecond, and then the reliability to be very high. But the 5G, the real achievement, what they package as a 5G, is not that high. And so we expect to be fast data rates, stuff like this. But still, the rollout of 5G is quite low. I think many of the companies, advance 5G, not as a device which has the high-speed download, but as a network that facilitate very high applications. And I know in Sri Lanka we have some 5G sites, and the test beds are in many research universities now. And if I were to talk about the 6G's direction, just to complete the 5G, 5G is a new radio infrastructure. It's a new mobile communication system, and it is not like procedure of the 4G, but there are similarities. But it is the first kind of a radio communication generation that introduced new technologies. And the 6G is more focusing on the energy efficient. Probably it is too early to talk about the 6G, but but still people now started doing the research, and the energy efficiency will play a major role. And still, it will also focus on the traditional wireless communication, standards, like the requirements, if you like latency, the data rate, and security and capacity. So those aspects. But on the top of that, the energy efficiency being the main focus. And I think as in many generations, 6G will also build upon the 5G's motivation, and what we couldn't do will be done by the 6G. And one of the main focus of the 6G is the intelligent era. So we are moving from being information era to the intelligent era. So the machine learning and the artificial intelligence will play a central role, and the deep learning techniques. So the AI, enabled AI-enabled system will be, will be there. So I think 5G introduced more touch screens and then the digital walls, but the 6G is more sensor based. So it is to operate through the gestures, and also maybe the devices will be in your clothes or in your skin patches. So so that also helps health sector, especially people are interested in to do remote surgeries and then remote healthcare. So those application will be also, I think, more uh, the focus in the 6G.
Yes, it's very inspiring actually 5G and 6G. So, so as answer, so I would like to ask. So, in your opinion, so how much data throughput and data speed will consumer get from the 5G and 6G?
Yeah, I think with the AR latency of fewer than the 100 microseconds and also having the access to the terahertz frequency bands, 6G will have a peak data rate of 1000 gigabits per second. So it is about actually 100 times higher than its counterpart of 5G.
Yeah, I say it would be a huge experience for consumers, I think. Yes.
Yeah, it is. It will be. Yeah, but not sure. But let's try. Let's
Yeah,
see.
yes.
So you all of us need to work hard to
Yeah.
achieve this.
So then, as my next question, sir, what are the key pillars of actually 5G and 6G communication?
So these standardization body is the 3GPP, and 3GPP standardization really have their releases, and they standardize the various communication generations, and then that will be followed by the mobile operators. For 5G, we have three main pillars. One is the URLNC, ultra, that means ultra reliability and low latency communication. So meaning that that is to be very high reliable and also and high reliable and the low latency. Latency to be 1 millisecond, and then the reliability to be 10 to the power minus 9. So that means if you are sending a data packet of the 10 to the power 9 and one packet, that means really huge vector, and one packet will be in error. And the second user case is the enhanced mobile broadband, that is to support very high data rates. And the third one is the massive machine type communication, MMTC. So they are the sort of the main key pillars that forms 5G user cases. And when it comes to the 6G user cases, these three user cases is expanded to various other, it gone out of the horizon, if you like. So the terahertz communication will be pronounced, and intelligent and the cooperative networks. So the intelligent will be in the every network, so that will actually boil down the complexity of the wireless networks that we will be using, and that helps system to be let's say less complex. And also holographic calls will be I think a friend of mine who works in St. Petersburg University. I had a video call with him yesterday, and he showed me. We don't have holographic communication set up in Padukka or Lisbon, and I kind of did this virtual tour on the holographic. It's actually really cool, and that actually replaced the video call. So like you and me now we are doing the video call, so it will be real time and holographic calls. I think if I'm not mistaken, in the previous in the past, in certain scientific movies, in the fiction movies, we have seen these holographic calls, but we never thought it's going to be real. So 6G is already achieving this goal. And apart from that, actually, I think the 6G pillar, one of the 6G pillar is network to work as a sensor. Like the entire network is work as a sensor, because in the 5G we have these touch screens, and some and your mobile device to touch things, But the 6G will advance it. Still, the mobile phone will be the center of central device, but it will be a sensory device, which is going to be a bit dangerous, isn't it? It can hear what you do, and then it can sense things, and things get kind of more intelligent, you know. And so you need to be a bit careful of using technology, because you don't want to, record what you don't want others to hear. But nevertheless, so I believe it's going to be a sensory network things. And then, as I said, green communication. So Centre for Telecommunication Research Center in Padukka at SLTC, we work on the green communication over the last 4 years. And I think we are quite happy to see that the green communication has been one of the main pillars of 6G, which would give us more jobs, right?
Yeah, so, so it's really interesting, just so about modern technologies. Yeah, so then, so kindly let us know what are the technologies actually can be used to enhance these key pillars of 5G and 6G.
So the 5G, the groundbreaking technology was the Messi MIMO. So the MIMO was discovered actually in the 80s, but the Messi MIMO was the pioneering groundbreaking technology that underpins the high data rates and achieve actually a large amount of the key performance indicators that were targeted to achieve by the 5G. But when it comes to the 6G, of course, the artificial intelligence and the machine learning, and then the spectrum bands, because 6G is trying to access the actually there are few discussions in different main players of 6G, and it's in a one school believe that it is going to be 7 to 20 gigahertz, and also for the extreme coverage to achieve the sub terahertz frequencies, right? And then we, of course, we will have to work on the antenna technology to realize these terahertz, and also extreme connectivity. And then a very important one would be intelligent reflective surfaces, IRS. So if somebody wants to do research, it is good to focus on those topics which will be trendy, because none of us want to do a historical piece of research, but it's in different field. If in wireless communication or in the telecom, we prefer to do research that are currently being investigated, because research is expensive, so we need funding and grants. So grant bodies only give funding, the public money or the company funding, for something that is important to the current date. So they are, and also security and privacy concerns, because things are becoming, the network is going to be a sensor. So then, of course, it tap on to the security and the privacy concerns. So it was an issue in the both generations.
Yeah, it's a really nice technology. Actually, our students will get motivated from this technology. They can actually start their own research through these technologies. So I have actually, you have mentioned before about that mean answers in these conversations actually about network slicing. So can you describe what is network slicing in new generation communication? So it will be actually very interesting for our audience as well.
Well, the network slicing, the way we understand, is to develop a virtualized network. For example, let's say if I have, if I have 10 users to support my limited resources. So in the past, like what we do is we make that current available resource for these 10 users. But through the network slicing, what we do is we kind of categorize them according to the requirement. So we basically categorize them, maybe somebody with the healthcare user, and the healthcare users are more interested in for the latency and then the reliability, right? And then I will categorize them for URLLC users. And then maybe somebody requires high data rate. So people request high data rate, we will categorize them as the, let's say, enhanced mobile broadband. So likewise, we will categorize them, and then we allocate virtual slices, the resource slices to them. It's like a bread slices, So the bread is divided into slices, and we give them to people that who are interested in. So one bread with the peanut butter will give to somebody who likes that, and then with the, let's say, with the this normal butter and the jam will apply, and that slice go to the another person. Likewise, we optimize the usage of resources, and maybe third person we feel he doesn't need any of the slice, so we don't give them slice. So we kind of we kind of optimize the resources. So it's a new technology, but we don't need heavy infrastructure, but we use this, we make through the virtualized network, and that can be used for many researchers in telecommunication. So it can work with the drones, it can work with the cellular communication, and it can work with the underwater wireless communication, or it can work with the visible light communication technologies. I don't know whether that makes sense.
Yes, actually, very quite interesting. So actually, in modern users will get more experience using this technology actually through this technology. So so as you mentioned, so about MIMO. So what about the massive MIMO and beamforming? So are they really helpful for this 6G and 5G communications?
Yeah, I think as I mentioned, it is the groundbreaking technology of 5G, massive MIMO, and I believe that the massive MIMO and beamforming will be, expected to be further advanced to enable even more precise and also control over the transmitted signal. So especially if you want to have more focus or targeted communication, so these two technologies will be, very useful, especially with the with this virtual reality, augmented reality, and holographic communication and mixed reality. So you need that that level of high data rates, and then enhanced connectivity. So they will be, definitely we can resort to our good friend Messi Maimo. Probably I think I saw one white paper from Nokia, they call it extreme MIMO, right? So in the beginning, MIMO, machine MIMO, and extreme MIMO. So the in nutshell, so yes, they will be of very much use.
Yes. Sir. So, so at actually, as my final question, so at last but not least, so what's the final message do you have to aspiring young scientists who are here with us today?
Yeah, it's a tough question. So I will try to divide
Yeah.
into a bit of the pieces, and I try to answer that. As I started my talk, I think even not to be young scientists, to everybody in this room, and my message is, everyone to have a resolution, right, and to have a dedication, and then evaluate where you want to achieve, what you want to achieve in your life, and develop the self confidence in you, right, and then you will and work for it. So the world will help you to reach that. The world is you, within yourself. So that helps you to achieve what you want to do. So even when the researcher is always curious about the things, and researchers do contribute to the world's wellness, and the development. So by even if you may be in marketing, you may be in IT, or you may be in history, or wherever you are in, so you can start your research career. Maybe you are at your 50s, you can start the research career. And I think one of the thing is that is important is not to be cling on to, not to be hang on, hold on to things, right? So when we live or when we lead our life, it is important that we practice the let go concept. And it is also in the Buddhism and also many other religion. I think it has been a blessing for many people that I know, and including myself, to practice, letting go. because I see as a Sri Lanka, we are community-based country. So when we live with the community, it is natural that, things are not, roll out the way that you want. So not to be, attached to the situation and just treat it as just a situation, because sometimes there are things happen that you can't do anything. You just have to observe the things. So I think these small things are really, really important. And also, if you want to be a good researcher, I think you also have to, be a good listener and good reader, and also, be conscious about the world's climate, like what's happening in the world, and what's happening around you. You have to be conscious. And I also believe that, as I said in the past, so none of us are in the competition. So everyone is important. So it's very, very important that we respect everyone's career, right? Even the people at, when you come to campus in Padukka, like, we have our, janitorial staff, they organize the campus for us to work at 9 in the morning. So if they don't come and do that, for us, and we can't execute the day, and nothing will be possible. So they do, very important job. So I think it's really, really important we respect everyone's job and treat them equally. So the equality is really important. So I think that, every individual need to practice them and also keep their central attention to their, let's say their motivation. If you don't have motivation, nothing can be achieved. If you have only motivation but no hard work, and still it's kind of a, you will not get anywhere. So I think my message is, probably I kind of summarized it. And a friend of mine actually asked me to tell that, the point that I have mentioned, not to be, hold on to things, because I think it's really, really important. In the West, people go to classes to learn that, right? And when I was in Norway, I heard in our university we had classes that teach you how to smile. Like, but in our country, it's our natural, we all smile, right? It's a natural gift that we can give to somebody. So, and also keep smiling, it's good for the world.
Thank you, sir. So it's really a great message for our audience, actually. So it's really a nice message. So now, so I would like to invite the audience. So now it's time for the audience. So if you have any question from our professor, so please feel free to ask. So you can type in chat box or unmute the mic and you can ask any questions. You know, it's time to your.
Hello, Professor Lanka. Can you hear me? Hello, sir.
Hello.
Can, can you hear me, sir?
Yeah, I can. Yes.
Sir, I'm Randimal from engineering school. I have three questions for you.
Okay.
First one is there is economic and disruption in the European like countries. So, do you have any guidance for get an scholarship like going abroad for the such countries? Second one is what's your opinion about job industry and the research branch? They are, they collapse each other, or your opinion about that? So in this speech, you mentioned about Sri Lanka is a community country. So my opinion is community country is not giving freedom to innovation. So I need to further information from you to know. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Raji. And I will try to answer the way I can. So the scholarship opportunities, maybe you can actually interrupt me if I haven't grasped your question correctly, right? So scholarship opportunities are in Europe, and they are continue to operate despite of the economic hardships, because they have the countries in the West. They have India national agendas, national policies, because they believe that the scholarships will advance the knowledge, and that will advance their own country. because people who gain a scholarship expected to, contribute for R&D activities. So they are, already, open, and I know many people from SLTC graduates, especially engineering, received, many scholarships to travel to Europe. And in my research center, we have one alumni from engineering school. She's also traveling soon to Europe under a full scholarship. So, they are there. So you have to actually, apply through the, various scholarship websites. So if you follow the various scholarship website and keep your documentation ready, because, documentation is really important. And certain countries require certifications like IELTS and TOEFL like this. So you can complete all of them. And if you have a, good GPA, and so that will actually, help you to score good marks at the scholarship selection. So I served as a selection committee member for some of the scholarship in the past. And so if you have actually very small abstract publication about your project, that really helps you. We have actually IRC in International Research Conference at SLTC, and also there are many conferences happening in Sri Lanka. So they are not extremely competitive. So if you can present your projects in those places, and and get their feedback, and that helps you to boost your CV, right? That actually that can be a pathway to achieve a really good scholarship. I know people who worked in good undergraduate thesis, and then they received actually, they publish in average or a low level of the conference or the journals, and and they were selected for a really prestigious scholarships. Because at your age, being student researchers, so it's not expected to publish in very highly ranked places. And so they are the kind of things. And also your extracurricular activities are very helpful. We have wonderful set of facilities that you can excel, and there are many competitions, sports, and many co-curricular and extracurricular activities. They all helps you to achieve scholarships. So it's not only the education and the other things that you can do, because that will complete the intended learning outcomes of the education, right? Not only the studies and other extracurricular activities, serving on the societies and the clubs and the charities and the sports, So because it helps. It helps the committees to identify you are an all-rounder, you play well in the societal system. And another thing about the second question, it was not very much clear to me, but the third question about the community-based country. Sri Lanka is a community-based country. It's actually, it has the pluses and the minuses. I do agree to some degree when you are living in a community-based country. So sometimes you will be driven, or driven by the public norms or the public opinions, right? So so you can actually look at the positive side of the community-based countries. So positive side is the communities there to support. There is a support system for the community. But for the innovations, I don't see it as an obstacle, because you are the innovator and you are the researcher. So you develop the things, and in my opinion, I don't think it is a big obstacle. It might be a support system that generates. It matters actually who are your neighbors. So maybe you can start the decluttering process, like you can select. You can have a selective society. Some people have selective society that they are community selected. So it's okay. You don't have to be a social butterfly all the time, but you select a society that you want to operate, that you're comfortable of, and so build your support system. Maybe your family is enough or the friends. But I think it's really, really important to have a very strong friends network, because that helps you to be stable, and also to be a player in the society, and to cultivate various societal skills. I don't know I answered your question.
Um, Hello, good evening, Professor. Susant
Good
over here.
evening. Hello, Susant. How are you?
Yeah, fine. Professor, when you were talking, I really felt like, the coming technology and your emotional bonding with the people. And really, I feel like this. I think technology will answer the problems and the things that we have all. But emotional things, that what you said, and the community engagement and all, really exciting, because that cannot be done by technology. I mean, as it is, however we develop the technology. I think in future, because of the technology will look after the tech savvy things, but people
Yeah.
will have to. I think it is a really good idea that you said that it is should be connected. I mean, people should be connected at the same time. Networking
Yes.
will be more impressive. Uh, I think even for us, without having even the technical background,
Yeah.
those who do have a correct mindset, I
Yeah.
think will win the world, I believe, as you said.
Yeah. Yeah. Just to add a little bit, Susante. So I think we all are in the path of the evolution. So human race in the path in the journey of evolution. So in the past, the evolution was supported by the techniques like meditation and many other Asian knowledges. But now I believe that that the evolution is backed by the technology, right? So this is a new era, and then we are backed by these artificial intelligent enabled technologies, and so it helps us to connect people more than past. But I think in the same time we need to be aware how we should use the technology, not to lose our human values, as you correctly said. And I think the social media, many of us use social media, but over information can really distract you. And there is a syndrome that is introduced by the Facebook. It's called the feeling of missing out. So one thing that I think I gathered from Susanta's comment is we post so many things on the internet, and we nobody has perfect life, even myself, right? So, and don't be misled by all these posts, and that develop that syndrome of the missing out of such a wonderful moment in your life. So it's just a moment, and everyone is undergoing a normal general life as you and me.
Professor, I have a question.
Yeah.
So this is regarding the career of a researcher. So let's say a researcher in academia actually joins a university for a very specific research area, like drone-based communication or underwater communication, something like that.
Yeah.
So basically, they're getting funding and they're working on the project. So what happens to that researcher once the project is over in terms of job security and the career itself?
Yeah, I think this is, I mean, what you asked is a very ongoing discussion in various parts of the world. They call it the, certain countries, they have something called Researchers Career Charter. And many countries have signed this Researchers Career Charter that guarantees the continuation of the jobs for the researchers. So generally, many of the researchers are hired on funded projects, and as you correctly said, projects will over after 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, or maybe 2 years even. And then what happened to that particular researcher? So that's actually a question. So they are, I mean, in order to solve this problem, many countries introduce a permanent research positions, right? So there are permanent research positions, and these temporary researchers who are hired on, fixed term contracts will absorb to the institution as the permanent researchers. and or maybe they will be hired as teaching faculty, like the faculty, because I mean faculty's number one responsibility is to generate the knowledge. So they will have actually better position, also to disseminate their knowledge through the teaching, and also to engage in the research and development. So I think in many countries that sort of guarantee the continuation of the researchers, and so many universities, I think including SLTC, we kind of trying to absorb people to the faculty, once they complete their research career. So I think one other thing is what you meant by a researcher is a more standard format. But anyone can be a researcher. Like you don't have to have a job title as the researcher. So people sitting down in the registrar office of our university or a library or wherever you go, you can develop your research career. And the moment you feel okay, you are more passionate about this, so you can actually switch to a complete research job. That will allow you to engage in a full-time research activity.
Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you.
So we have a message from Dr. Renuka. So thank you very much. I will read it. Thank you very much for this wonderful session. So I would like to know about the future trends in green communication. So
Okay,
yeah.
that's a good question about the green communication trends. So there are various trends that are associated with the green communications. So one of the trend is the simultaneous wireless information and power transfers, and then develop the circuits like the address the nonlinear problems of the energy harvesting circuits. And another green communication research area is to integrate the non-green technologies together with the machine learning and the artificial intelligence, and make them sensory driven devices. So one of the another research area is to integrate the green wireless communication together with the 6G's priority areas, like how the so one of the our recent paper we propose a green URLNC, like how to make the main user cases of the wireless communication, or the telecommunication or whatever, with the green aspect, right? And there are many, and another thing could be to look at the sustainable and the alternative green communication technologies that are that are new to the area. So one was actually the swipe that came with the 5G, that is to use simultaneously treat electrical signal as a source for information and the energy harvesting. But going forward, we have met with various challenges, like how swipe can be integrated to the 6G, how the antennas can be developed, and then the practicality, because we realize many green technologies, the energy harvesting efficiency is very, very, very low, and that is a function of the distance. As the distance increase, amount of energy that we can harvest goes down. So to improving the energy harvesting efficiency, and then also development of the supercapacitors, that can store temporary energy. So these probably form a lot of challenges, I believe.
Thank you, sir. So we have another question from Senal. So what are the phases of research projects, and what are some KPIs that can indicate significant progress in a research project?
Okay, good. The first question was phases, right? Yeah, so the first phase of a research project is the literature review. So you need to, read the area that is of interest to you, and you need to identify what is the state of the art of that particular research. Because without knowing the state of the art, you cannot get in, you cannot get in, and you cannot you don't know what people have done. So you need to do a thorough research, literature review about the area that you are interested in to read and to contribute. So once you read, you need to develop understanding on the gaps and the challenges of that particular research area. So you need to jot down, these are the challenges, So what I ask from my grad students is to, whenever they read the paper, they need to, put down a summary of that particular paper and also add your own contribution. What are the positive of this particular paper and what are the drawbacks of this particular paper? So then you kind of develop the right motivation for your research. So you kind of know these are the things completed, these are the challenges that are left for the future researchers. And you can then start thinking on the methodology. So what sort of methodology would be useful for this particular research, and then developing, a hypothesis. So there are certain kind of researchers requires to collect the data, and some of the research, requires to develop algorithms and the systems. So it's kind of a depend on the area that you are in. So once you kind of get to know the research methodology, I mean, before the research methodology, actually you have to rephrase the research question, because research question in the beginning is very vague, and you do the literature review to find out what is actual research question that you would be addressing, right? And then you develop the research methodology, and then you kind of come up with some sort of like in engineering, we kind of try to come up with algorithms or the system design, and then we develop a validation process. Like you need to validate your proposals, all right? And then it need to be compared with the existing knowledge. So you may be developing let's say an algorithm to identify the interest of the postgraduate students in next 5 years, in 2030, what would be the interest of the postgraduate student. And then probably there are many other studies done in that particular area. So you should also compare your findings with the other peers, right? Other peers. And then you need to come up with some sort of a solution. And if you see that your proposed scheme does not perform well than the established ones, so probably there are areas that you need to address, and the tweaks you should apply in order to correct them. And somehow, even if you are not performing well with the others, but maybe the proposed algorithm, system, or the methodology will be less complex. Maybe it requires less resources, but it will not give the best output, but it is consuming less energy, less resource, and less waste, like the harmful impact to the world. So you can actually then it's a contribution, because you are developing a simple, because the world needs simple thing. We need simple things. We don't need very, very complicated things. We need simple things that will also consume less resources, right? Because we are in a world of constrained resources. And so I think that kind of summarize the process. And once you complete the research process, you go to the publication phase. It's also important, the publication phase. So actually, I have a course at SLTC that I am planning to teach from 2 weeks from now. That is developed for the non-academic staff members, and that teaches about the research process and trying to start the ball rolling of the non-research careers to switch to the research career. So I'm trying to introduce the research methodology there. So that's sort of the phases. What's the next question was?
So it was what are some KPIs that can
the
indicate?
KPIs.
Yeah.
So the KPI, so let's say if you are hired on a research project, so you have definitely KPIs to fulfill, right? The KPIs may be development of a system, development of an algorithm. So improving the, let's say if it is a telecom, it will be improving the data rate, improving the energy efficiencies, and then publish, because you have to publish your work yeah, you cannot just keep it for yourself, right? So the KPI will be definitely for your publications. It can be a patent or it can be a journal article, because publication process is quite lengthy. It can take about 6 months to 1 year, and then it undergoes the peer review process, and it will be checked by the experts, and they will give you comment, and they say, oh no, this is not a acceptable level. The work is not cooked enough, right? So you need to go back to the lab and redo, and attend to their comments and do it. In the research, we all relying on the peers, right? So peer review process is a voluntary process. It's not paid, and all of us are reviewers of the journals and the conferences. So we kind of review our peers. It's of course a blind, so our colleagues does not know that we are reviewing, and we don't know who review our papers, right? That helps the advancement of the R&D.
Yeah, thank you, sir. So we have another question from Salvinder. So he asked about what is the difference between the pro science research and social science research methods. So pro science research methods and the social science research methods. The difference between those two types of
Yeah, the social science research methods are largely resting upon the collection of the data, and then maybe surveys and development of the policies, and reading policy documents, or reading some sort of literature reviews, and then you kind of gathered maybe a societal behavioral change, or the policy development, or you kind of study the ethnic characteristics of a particular society. But the scientific research methodologies are quite different. Even engineering ones are actually quite different. So when it comes to the science, so you need some sort of a you kind of develop hypothesis, and actually every research develop, most of the research develop hypothesis, but you do the experiments in the science. And more scientific research are resting upon the natural natural sciences, and they undergo experiment based. So they do some sort of laboratory experiments, and then they kind of trying to prove their hypothesis, and then they compare with the existing ones. So engineering ones probably looking at the development of the system, and it can be development of theories, and then development of the some sort of algorithms that actually improve the various key performance indicators. So in the mathematics, it's again different. The math that you kind of work with the various optimization and the linear algebra, or many other ring theory or whatever. And then it's more concrete, and it's more theoretical work. So based on the areas you are in, so your research methodologies will be different.
Thank you, sir. So we have another question from Jinendra. So actually, he's from a data science background. So I will read the question. Sir, I'm from a data science background and want to shift to a neuroscience-based researcher. I have the domain knowledge of machine learning and deep learning, but lacking the knowledge of signal processing and embedded systems. So doing a MSc in embedded system, would I be able to pursue the PhD in biomedical engineering, neuroscience? Will 6G technologies will have to implement a system in this area? So and again he asked, like he told about, I mean a more accurate detection system, often human body, something like that. So he asked about that accurate detection system, often human body, something like that.
Okay. So I think I will try to give a general answer. So generally, our embedded systems and IC design program focus on the development of the skills in relation to advanced signal processing, embedded systems, IC design. So if somebody want to learn and be an expert on these sub areas, so definitely they can check this out. So I think our school allows some students to come and join, and then see first couple of classes whether they like it or not. And also, I think there is no barrier to, if you're a data scientist and moving to the neural network based research. And so of course the 5G 6G is more into sensor based networks, and also it look at the transmission of the healthcare wearable devices, and focus on the healthcare sector as well. So there will be a tons of, I think, opportunities for this interdisciplinary area, because health sector and the marriage between the health sector and the 6G is is something that we all wanted. So for him, I think probably you can just talk to a program lead on the embedded systems and IC design, and then check whether it fits your requirement, especially if you want to do PhD. By doing courses in related to embedded systems and the signal processing would not suffice, I think, at the moment. It's good to have very good MSc dissertation, MSc thesis, and then publish in a general IEEE or ACM conference. There are many conferences in Sri Lanka and the South Asian subcontinent, so that helps you to be qualified to achieve a PhD scholarship. Even if the supervisor knows you, right, he can't hire you because of there are many candidates now. The competition is stiff. So people with the publication will always get the opportunity. So I suggest that you sign up for a suitable master's course, and then from the day one you start your research on the master thesis and get your supervisor to help you to publish it in a local conference paper.
Thank you, sir. So there's many compliments for this session, sir. So about your thoughts and other valuable things.
Thank you.
So audience, so if you have any question, you can ask. So we have time. Okay. If you interesting in our MSc program, so you can send your CVs to Ms. Chamari. So I think she already posted the chat. You can get her email from the chat. So if you're interested in our MSc program, you can send your CVs to Ms. Chamari. Okay, I think we don't have any question from the audience. So sir, thank you very much actually. So you are participating for this session. So it's actually a pleasure to have you participate in this session today, and we thank you for your valuable contribution. And I would like to thank you once again for sharing your valuable thought with us.
Yeah.
So I think
thank you, Dinesh, and thank you everyone who participated, and I hope it was of some use. And I'll be very happy if you take small thing what I said into your life and put it into practice. And I must also thank the management and our president of SLTC Research University and my colleagues at the School of Postgraduate Studies and Research for organizing. And also thank you, Dinesh, for moderating this event. And I must thank actually Yasas and then Chamari, Anushka, and Pradeepa for their support.
Thank you very much, sir. So, ladies and gentlemen, so that's wrap up the session. So, talk with world's top ranked scientists. So, on behalf of the academics and non-academic staff members, so thank you all for making time in your busy schedule to join here with today. So, thank you once again, and